Well, now let's start up. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Boys Sports Talk. This week we're covering college football, NFL, and the NBA. We got Van, Matt, and Cena with us today. How y'all doing this week?
Maybe. Doing better if the Saints win here in a few minutes.
Yeah, they're about to start in 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's about 10. Where's the remote? Speaking of that.
I should catch the Saints game. But all right, so the first subject of the week is college football. This weekend we had a lot of cancellations. A lot of top 25 teams either didn't play because they didn't have a schedule game, like Clemson, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Indiana, Cincinnati. Well, my bad. Those teams got canceled. Clemson and Notre Dame didn't have a game scheduled. Big teams that canceled their game was Ohio State and Texas A&M, along with Cincinnati in the top 10. We had some upsets this weekend with LSU beating Florida, number 6, 37-34. That was a surprise. But I guess this week was the week of LSU. This is the first week that we've seen this year that LSU actually looked like LSU and not Vanderbilt.
Well, I think we got some good building pieces now with that. After that win, we got it was a big win. I think we were down our top 2 DBs, so they had to force a lot of young people to play more this year.
I think we saw a lot of Max Johnson out there.
Yeah, I think Max Johnson's our quarterback for the next 2 years.
I think Miles Brennan has another year that he can play.
Yeah, we'll see. He's going to give him a run for it in camp.
If he plays like he did last night, he'll be good because he's only a freshman, so he's still got at least 2 more years to play. Because or if he wants to go to be a senior, he got 3 more years to play.
My thing, if you bring Miles Brennan back, what does that do for the confidence of a guy like Max Johnson? Like, all right, yeah, you gave him the starting job over Finley, throws 3 touchdowns, upsets the top 10 team in the nation, then you bench him for the senior. But yeah, I get Miles Brennan waited his time. Honestly, Miles Brennan isn't what we're not going to win a national championship next year. I'm gonna be honest with you.
We're not, but Miles Brennan is the better quarterback. Max Johnson got benched for Finley. He came in as relief for Finley, and Finley's been terrible this year. And for Max Johnson not to get the starting job sooner says something about Max Johnson. He came in, played, but the defense did cause some nice turnovers for him to keep the ball and for the offense to keep going. And Florida also screwed up with themselves by throwing the cleat down the field.
No. I think we could also rule out Kyle Trask as Heisman after that game.
Yeah, you can.
I think if we're looking at LSU quarterbacks for the future, the situation between Miles Brennan and Max Johnson is going to kind of be similar to the same situation we had when Miles Brennan was a freshman and Danny Etlin was a senior at the time. And they went with the senior quarterback over Miles Brennan.
Yeah, but Miles Brennan wasn't playing, though.
But Miles Brennan looked really good in camp, and it was very close.
Miles Brennan also is the better quarterback than Etlin is.
I agree.
But I think the biggest thing that came out of that game was Florida's hopes of the playoffs is now gone. Even with a win against Alabama, I don't think they're making the top 4.
I would say the main thing Florida can do now is play spoiler in an SEC championship, but I don't foresee anything coming.
That is what is going to be the big talk all next week is the trap game that Alabama may be facing against Florida now.
But Alabama is pretty much a sure pick to be in the playoffs. Maybe Florida can probably stop them from winning the SEC championship, but
very interesting.
Even if Alabama lost, Alabama's still going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, so there is no
championship.
So there is nothing that Florida can do to stop Alabama from going. They're still going to go. They can just stop them from winning the championship, and that can be the cap of Florida's year was we won the SEC.
And I mean, it could help Kyle Trask. I mean, it's another game for him to improve on last week.
Yeah. The other top 25 teams that played this week was Alabama destroying Arkansas just like they should have. Number 25, Missouri, finally cracked the top 25 just to get booted right back into the unknowns after they're getting their beat by UGA, 49-14. Northwestern is keeping their hopes of a college football playoffs alive after beating Illinois by 18 points. Colorado was another top 25 team to drop to Utah after losing 38-21. Central Carolina, someone else, another group of 5 team that looking very strong this year. I pretty much think they ended all hopes. It was an outside chance of them going to a playoffs or a top bowl, but after barely beating a Troy team by 3 points and giving up 38 points to them, I think they're gonna stay around that 12 to 15 projection rating.
USC beat UCLA to secure the Pac-12 South title.
Yep, they beat them 42-38. A big upset that happened this week, along with LSU beating Florida, was North Carolina beating Miami 62-26. Number 10, Miami got wrecked. I think that helps UNC move up in the ratings. I think they're going to be close to a top 10 team when the football playoffs come out. Committee comes out with their ratings, but disappointing for Miami because they were looking for a top 10 finish. They had no hopes of the ACC championship with Clemson, Notre Dame locking those up early on. But Miami was looking at, just like Texas A&M, they were looking on the outside with a one-loss team to a top 4 team. So Miami probably could have snuck in there somewheres if some stuff happens in the top 5. But any hopes of them going to a New Year's 6 is now over with.
Yeah, no home Orange Bowl this year.
They'll probably go to there is that bowl down in Orlando that they might go to.
The Citrus Bowl or something like that. Or the Buffalo Wings Bowl it was. I don't know. The bowls change every year. It seems
they add a new bowl every year.
The USC beat UCLA, like you said, by 3 points. I think that looks bad on them by being in a slugfest with a non-top 25 team this week, especially since they're trying to hope that with a undefeated Pac-12 championship, they can probably wiggle their way into the playoffs, but I don't think that's happening. I think they'll probably move up to like number 13 or 12 after this week.
I think a New Year's 6 bowl is appropriate. I think if they had played a full season, then they would have an argument for a playoffs. But like you can't judge USC off of 5 Pac-12 conference games. They needed those non-conference, or they needed a full conference schedule to even be viable for a playoffs, I think.
I mean, you have a 5-0 Ohio State team sitting at number 4 right now.
We see Ohio State coming into the season had all the hype. They were already ranked that high. They weren't moving them.
They were ranked number 2 coming into the season.
Yeah, I mean,
ranked 20.
The big 3 schools are going to stay in the top 4 every year coming in. But I mean, you can't. It's kind of hard to discredit a undefeated group of Power 5 champion. What?
The real question is talking about the Power 4 right now. If anyone's going to go out of it, would it be Notre Dame if they lose to Clemson in the ACC championship? And if they do come out, who replaces them for that 4th spot?
I don't know. I think Notre Dame's hard because even if they lose, A&M's right there, but A&M's not that good. I'm going to be honest with y'all. A&M only played LSU a 20-7 game, and that was LSU not being good. I just don't foresee A&M making and they got waxed by Bama. If I'm not wrong, when they played them in the regular season.
They did. It wasn't a competition win.
So I don't see the point of putting an A&M team in there.
Are we not going to talk about a Cincinnati team, undefeated still?
I don't think Cincinnati's getting in over A&M will. I think A&M will get in over Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati had a good chance of going to the playoffs if they were able to keep playing their games. But a Group of 5 champion, with about the same record as a big Power 5 school, won't get in over them.
So my thing is, Cincinnati didn't play this week. You said, huh?
Nope.
How come the NCAA couldn't make a call? Hey, Ohio State don't have a game this week. Cincinnati don't have a game this week. Let's make something like that happen, like BYU did with Coastal Carolina.
Well, Cincinnati hasn't been playing the last couple of weeks because of COVID issues within their program.
Okay, so Cincinnati actually has the COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the teams that they're playing. Because they had Tulsa. They were supposed to play Tulsa this week, and then again next week play Tulsa in their conference championship to decide the AAC. But again, Cincinnati had COVID issues for.
They had the conference championship they got to play.
Yeah, they're gonna play Tulsa in the AAC conference championship.
Cena, what's your take on the college playoffs right now?
My take on for the top 4 to go in playoffs is I think Bama's gonna easily beat Florida, depending on how they play against LSU. Ohio State's gonna beat Northwestern. I think that whoever be number 2 or number 4, the Clemson Notre Dame ACC championship game is going to determine which two. Like, if Notre Dame plays Clemson close, they'll stay in it. But if Clemson just comes back and just beats the dog out of Notre Dame, since now they have Trevor Lawrence bad, so they didn't have Trevor Lawrence the first time they played each other, but they still play him close with a backup quarterback. So I think if Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, they come back and they play Notre Dame in the title game, if they just fly out beat them, Notre Dame will move down to 4, and then they're going to bump up Clemson and Ohio State up 2 spots. But if Notre Dame plays them close, maybe if they lose a close one by 3 points, they may keep Notre Dame in because it's a close game. But Clemson and Notre Dame ACC is going to determine the 2 teams who's going to be in it for sure. Bama's going to be in for sure. Ohio State's going to be in for sure. So I don't see them losing their title games. But Clemson and Notre Dame is going to determine a lot of that, of who's going to be the top 4.
First thing I'd say, do the Saints know how to run any other plays other than screen passes? There was screen passes. It didn't work. Come on.
I also think the ACC will determine the number of teams that goes into the playoffs, but I think the team that has the most to lose is Clemson. Another Clemson loss to a top 4 team will show that they're not ready this year to be there. But I think if Notre Dame loses, as long as it's a close game, both of those teams will go in. But I think if Clemson loses, they're probably going to be out of it.
So questioning this about how Clemson may not be ready, possibly, to go compete this year for a national championship. Who would be a harder opponent for Alabama? Would it be Ohio State or Clemson?
It's going to be Ohio State. Ohio State's a very talented team, and they're the most fresh team out of the bunch. They played 5 games while everyone else is going to be playing 10 to 11 games this year.
I also think if Notre Dame loses, I don't think we get a part 3. I think the committee will do the right thing if they keep them in and bump them to 4, and we don't see Clemson Notre Dame part 3. I think we'd get Alabama versus Notre Dame and Clemson versus Ohio State again, like we did last year. I just don't foresee them doing Clemson Notre Dame.
So we'll have that rematch of Ohio State versus Clemson.
Yeah, I don't foresee a third Clemson Notre Dame game happening.
Not if unless they both go to the championship.
Yeah.
But I think
if it's up to the committee, I think they'll make the right call if Notre Dame loses and keep them in the playoffs and bump them to 4. And we can move Clemson to 2 and Ohio State to 3. if Ohio State takes care of business in that conference championship.
And I mean, they're playing a one-loss Northwestern team who's sitting at number 14 right now, but they just won
We can't
this week.
discredit with Western either. But, I mean, I still think Ohio State might be the better team. Justin Fields, better quarterback.
Yeah, they're the best team in the Big Ten, no doubt about it.
They
But
might be the best team in the country. We just haven't seen them.
Better quarterback.
they
Justin.
could be. But I think the best team in the country is Alabama.
Yeah. I think there's no doubt Alabama's the best team in the country. I hate to say it, but I think Alabama's going to win another national title this year because, honestly, they played the hardest schedule. They went through the conference undefeated, no real competition. I mean, I think they're just going to steamroll. I think that just helps them more than Ohio State. Ohio State, I think, yeah, they're fresh. They only have 5 games, but I mean, honestly, Alabama's battle tested. They went through the SEC. They went through dogfights every week, even though it doesn't look like it in the schedules. But I think Alabama's battle tested, and they're just gonna make another national title on unless a team like Clemson comes in and Trevor Lawrence just starts dominating.
They look pretty good in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the Week 16's AP poll came out. The AP poll doesn't matter at this point now that the committee is doing their rankings. But this week they have the top 10 listed as Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson, Texas A&M, Cincinnati at number 6, moving up the spot. Indiana, number 7, moving up the spot. Iowa State moving up 2 spots to number 8. Coastal Carolina moving up 2 spots to number 9, and UGA moving up 2 spots to number 10, with Florida dropping five spots down to number 11. I get it that Florida just lost their first game in a while, but I don't think you can really justify putting UGA above Florida, especially after Florida beat UGA early on in the season, and it really wasn't that good of a game.
Yeah, I don't know how you can justify Georgia. Now, like you said, this is the AP poll. The AP poll doesn't matter. We'll see what the real polls, when they come out with the college football playoffs, say. But, yeah, I don't think you can justify Georgia ahead of Florida when Florida's already won the East.
Yeah, putting Georgia above Florida. Florida's in the East for the SEC championship. Florida has already beat Georgia. So I think Georgia will still be behind Florida because Florida beat Georgia 44-28. So I don't really see the committee putting Florida behind Georgia. But I want to get your opinions on what y'all think the top 10 will look like come Wednesday night when the committee puts out their rankings.
I think top 4 stays about the same. No movement there. I don't think Coastal Carolina's in top 10. If you know, I don't think Coastal Carolina. I think Coastal Carolina took all their hope away. Honestly, they might make a New Year's Six bowl, but I'm not sure. I mean, Iowa State's going to be up there, Cincinnati's going to be there, and A&M's still going to be there.
Yeah, A&M can't move. I think A&M's locked in at number 5, especially since they're not.
I don't think A&M's going to move at all. Like, even no matter what happens in the playoffs, unless an Ohio State team loses, that's the only way I foresee A&M making the playoffs. Is even unless Clemson loses, but.
Well, I think if Clemson loses this coming up week to Notre Dame, I think you have to look at Iowa State sitting at number 7 in Week 15's rankings. They didn't have a game this week. It got canceled. Well, it didn't get canceled. They just didn't have a game this week. But I think if they go in, win the Big 12 championship, sitting at 9-2, and Clemson or Ohio State loses, I think they might get the push.
That's also a big game, though, is Oklahoma started coming on strong here.
Yeah. Oklahoma was in the top 10 early on in the year. They dropped 2 back-to-back games. But after that, they put they got all their stuff back together. Now they're looking like Oklahoma again. But sitting at number 11 this week, and having their game canceled, I don't really see them moving up very much. The only thing that's helping them move up is Miami getting whooped and Florida losing. I would say the top five stay the same, but number 6, Florida's going to drop outside of the top 10, probably to like a number 11. Number 6 will be Iowa State. Number 7 will be UGA. Number 8 would be probably Cincinnati will stay the same. I think number 9 will come down between USC or UNC. And then number 10 will probably be Oklahoma.
That's all I was about to say. You think USC get the push up to the top 10?
I think they do because, like I said, they're Power 5 team going into their conference championship undefeated. I don't think they're as good as a 5-0 Ohio State team, but I think because of their resume and the plays that they play, they have to be put in the top 10 with a potential playoff spot. But a lot of stuff has to happen for them to get into the playoffs. But
well, something that we were talking about earlier, I'd like to get your take on now. I said we're going to leave this for later. I said I think I would like to see a USC in the New Year's Six Bowl play at Cincinnati.
That most likely will happen. I know the Cotton Bowl.
Fiesta Bowl or Cotton Bowl or Peach Bowl or something like that. And we get to see what both teams are really made out of.
Yeah, like the Cotton Bowl. One of the teams that will go to the Cotton Bowl has to be a conference champion. And so Alabama, I think, is going to be the SEC champion. They're going to go to the playoffs. Notre Dame and Clemson, whoever wins that one's going to the playoffs. And Ohio State is most likely going to win their game. So that leaves only the Big 12 and the Pac-12. And I think whoever comes out on top between those two teams will go to the Cotton Bowl, either Iowa State, Oklahoma, or USC. Whichever team wins their team and finishes highest in the rankings is going to go to the Cotton Bowl. And they're going to most likely play a Cincinnati team as a non-contracted Group of 5 champion.
It'd be a good game.
And
we get to see what both teams are made out of. Like you said, we saw it. We can't really say anything about USC because they've only played Pac-12. They didn't have a full year, but I think it'll build on next year, give them the respect if they do beat, or go flip-flop it, or Cincinnati and Iowa State for next year. It'll build their resume for next year to give them more respect. Like, hey, if USC wins, they ran the table this year. We won the New Year's Six Bowl. They should get respect, top 10 preseason. And then that way they won't get left out of a play. They get an actual shot at a playoffs. Because I don't
Cincinnati or Iowa State?
Well, any of them, like Cincinnati, Ohio, Iowa State, or USC. Whoever wins that, they can parlay it into next year and be like, look, we deserve respect. We beat these schools last year. We deserve more respect in a playoff shot next year. I think these schools that are missing out, they really need, like, other than A&M.
Like Indiana?
Like, yeah, like, oh, wait, what?
Like
like in Indiana or something. I think they just need to be building off of these New Year's Six Bowls so next year they actually get respect by the committee. Because if you notice, like, if UCF beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl, if they had ended up running the table and that quarterback wouldn't have got hurt, they got more respect by the committee and everything.
Well, UCF went undefeated 2 years in a row with 2013 season capped by beating a top 10 Auburn team. And then next year, in 2014, they went undefeated and stole it and get even closer to
LSU, but they also their quarterback.
They lost to LSU in a bowl game, so they weren't even considered for a playoff spot.
But before that, you have to remember their quarterback had that gruesome injury. And, that takes apart. I mean, your quarterback who led both the last year and the next year, I mean, he's not there.
Yeah, so that did get looked at as well.
As in, like especially I was saying, at USC school, their quarterback will be coming back, so they'll be getting more respect if they do win a Big Six bowl. They'd be considered more respectable than Oregon was this year, which I still don't understand how Oregon got ranked so high when they lost the Justin Herbert in top 5 pick. How are you still going to rank Oregon like that? And when the committee should have known Oregon wasn't going to be good.
I think LSU was ranked number 6 at the beginning, and we lost everybody.
That was also I could we also knew that wasn't going to happen. You know, I think that's where the committee's flawed with these kind of things because, like LSU, everybody you can go to Baton Rouge and everybody in Baton Rouge knew we weren't going to be competitive this year. I mean, honestly,
no one thought that we would have this terrible.
No one thought we'd be this awful, but I wasn't thinking repeating. I really wasn't thinking New Year's Six Bowl with all the opt-outs and all the players we lost in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, it just got worse and worse as it went on.
Mm-hmm.
So next week we have a couple of conference championship games. We have the Pac-12, Washington versus number 15, USC. USC is most likely going to move up in the rankings this year. Who'd y'all pick on winning that game?
I got
USC.
winning.
I got SC winning as well.
Cena?
USC.
So the Big Ten, this is a big game this week. Number 14, Northwestern versus number 4, Ohio State. Ohio State has a lot to lose here. If they lose the game, they're out. So they have to win. Who y'all taking?
In Ohio State, but I don't want to discredit Northwestern because what they're doing, they got a lot of motivation to play for. I mean, they can play upset and spoil it Ohio State, which I mean, most conference teams would like to do that. I think Ohio State wins, but I still think Northwestern's playing with house money, not a lot to lose and a lot to gain beating Ohio State.
So the Big 12, the only thing that really matters about the Big 12 is what happens in the other conference championship games. But we have number 11, Oklahoma versus number 7, Iowa State. I believe both of these teams will move up in the rankings this week after Miami and Florida both loses. I personally will like to see Iowa State win, but I think Oklahoma's back, so I think Oklahoma's taking it.
I think it's going to be a close game between Iowa State and Oklahoma. I think Iowa State definitely has a fair chance to pull out a win in this game, especially if Spencer Rattler doesn't perform well. But I do also have to take the side that Oklahoma is probably going to pull out in the end and get the W, but it's definitely going to be a must-watch.
Yeah, and like I said, I think if Clemson and Ohio State loses this weekend, I think the winner out of this game has a real good chance of making the top 4. The Sun Belt, we have 2 really good teams in the group of 5 play this weekend. Number 19, UL, and number 13, Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina just put on a close match with Troy, only beating them by 3 points this week. But they did beat UL earlier in the year. So for me, it is quite hard beating the same team twice in a year. So I'm going to go with University of Louisiana, Raging Cajuns.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with UL too. But like you said, it's hard to beat a good team twice. And UL is a pretty good team. I mean, I know I haven't really watched much of Coastal Carolina and UL, but from what I have seen, UL is a good team, and I think they're going to come back with motivation to come beat Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, and UL's big resume spot is beating a top 10 team right now in Iowa State at the beginning of the year. Another big game to watch this week is the ACC Championship, number 3 Clemson versus number 2 Notre Dame. Like I said, I think both these teams are going to the playoffs this week, but I think Clemson takes it this time around with Trevor Lawrence back.
Agreed. I think Trevor Lawrence coming back going to definitely be a game changer. He's that X factor that Clemson has on offense. Without him in that first matchup, definitely did not have all the best luck on offense. Did not finish drives off. This game, I feel like they come on offense, they get started hot, and they can actually put this game away probably pretty early.
Yeah, because even without Trevor Lawrence earlier in the year, Notre Dame only won by less than a touchdown. So I think now with their full squad back, I think it's going to be a Clemson game.
Winning as well. This is actually going to be one of my lock picks of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and put it out there that if Clemson loses, I'm going to either shotgun a beer or take a shot, one or the other, on camera if Clemson does lose. But I feel confident that Clemson's going to come back and beat Notre Dame this week with Trevor Lawrence.
So we have the first drink lock of the week from Matt going with Clemson over Notre Dame. We'll have to see next week how that turns out for him. The SEC has number 1 Bama against a number 6 Florida. Obviously, Florida's dropping from number 6, but we don't really have anything to gain here. Alabama's a sure pick, and Florida has no more chance of going to the playoffs.
Yeah, Bama.
Agreed.
And then we have, just like the Big 12 championship, we have the AAC with number 24 Tulsa versus number 8 Cincinnati. Tulsa has no chance of making anything, but Cincinnati's still in play for a New Year's Six Bowl and also the playoffs possibly, depending on what happens in front of them. They don't control their destiny anymore, but it just comes down to what happens in front of them.
Never know. You can never count it out.
I'm definitely taking Cincinnati for the AAC championship.
As well.
I like that.
Let's go back. I want to announce my drink of the week. After thinking about it, I will take the underdogs UL over Coastal Carolina.
All right.
And then
And that's your squeaker pick of the week.
Squeaker.
It's going to be a close game between UL and Coastal Carolina.
And our last subject on college football is the firing of Coach Gus Malzahn. He spent 8 years with Auburn. He's gone to the BCS championship one time, and he's lost in the biggest bowl game he's been to. I believe that was the Peach Bowl to UCF in 2017.
Did they lose? Didn't they win the Sugar Bowl not too long ago, or did they lose the Sugar Bowl? I know. Did they lose Oklahoma a couple of years back, or?
I don't think they've won any big title for a while.
I remember they were in the Sugar Bowl not too long ago. I thought.
I don't know if they ever made it to a big bowl like that outside of 2013 and 2017.
So 2017, they lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I have a friend, and he was.
In what year?
What was that, Sam?
I have a friend who was an Auburn fan, and he was at that game in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl. So I know Auburn went to the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, that's what made me think about it. One of my friends went to the Sugar Bowl, and they lost.
They lost to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl too?
Baker Mayfield, I believe. Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma.
I think so.
Joe.
So, pretty much under Gus Malzahn, they haven't won anything major. They had 2 good years. 2013, his first year, was his best year, going 12-2 when they eventually lost to Florida State in the BCS championship. And 2017, they lost in the Peach Bowl to UCF after going 10-4, and then they also lost to Oklahoma the year before that, 2016 or 2018.
What was it?
The year they lost to Oklahoma.
2017.
2017 is the year they lost to UCF.
Well, it's the 2017, but it was the 2016 football season.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
the Sugar Bowl's in January.
So he made back-to-back major bowl games and lost both of them. So I don't really see an issue with here. Well, now we get to see where Auburn goes because it's a big school within the SEC and within college football itself. So we'll see who goes in. Maybe we'll get Les Miles to Auburn.
Maybe an Urban Meyer coming out of retirement.
Yeah, that's a possibility too.
I thought he would have went to Texas, but apparently Texas is sticking with Herman.
There was just wasn't there just a football NFL coach got fired? Or maybe that was never mind. That was another college coach. So
Kevin Sumlin from Arizona.
Yeah, Sumlin.
Yeah, he didn't perform very well against Arizona State. That's down.
70-7. That requires a firing. Just like I mean, we're all LSU fans, but I think also on that list should be Coach O on the firing list.
I don't know about this year.
I don't know about this year. Maybe give him another year.
You can't justify.
He did just pull out a big win against Florida.
But look at his game management. He at the end of yesterday's game, he kind of screwed up on his game management. It reminded me of Les Miles' management. But for a big school like LSU, you can't have a losing season and expect to stay as coach.
I mean that's true. That's the whole point of it. Is that what's questioning it is? Are they a championship team or a championship program? That's the difference. Did you have a championship team just to win one season, or you're supposed to be a big Power 5 team and has a championship program?
They had a championship team last year when they should have a championship program every year.
Exactly. That's what Alabama does. That's what Clemson's doing right now.
And it's what Florida does to a degree. I mean, honestly, when they got Dan Mullen, they won the Orange Bowl last year. They're still getting these top recruits. Yeah, they lost yesterday, but I mean, Florida's still competing at a high level every year. They're not going they're not having an LSU type year like this.
Yeah, I mean, over the past couple of years, they've been falling to a really good Georgia team that's been standing in their way. But this year was their year to win the East. All they had to do was beat one more team to go down to Bama and see what they had. But that concludes our college football for week 15 and our projections for week 16. We got Matt drink lock of the week with Clemson beating Notre Dame, and my lock of the week with University of Louisiana beating Coastal Carolina.
Lock them in.